Nestled in the far northwest of England, this is the Lake District. A land defined by its natural beauty. And known to millions who love the lakes was the late Alfred Wainwright, author, guide writer and talented artist. But above all, he was the greatest fell walker. Wainwright's guides have inspired generations of walkers to roam these glorious fells. And now, a century after his birth, it's my turn to go in search of the real Wainwright experience. Today I'm setting my sights on the toughest of all Wainwright's challenges. I've had a cooked breakfast, I've packed my lunch, you can see I've got my waterproofs, and it's not even 8 o'clock. At 3,210 feet, Scafell Pike tops the charts of English peaks. I can't fully appreciate Wainwright's Lakeland until I've tackled its greatest fell. He described the Pike as the one objective above all others, a mecca. But I also want to know why Wainwright thought this particular fell walk was the finest of all. The crew and I have been waiting for about 3 days to try and get the right weather to tackle Scafell Pike. And today, to be honest, it might not be it. It feels like it could rain. And looks like we're not the only ones trying it as well. Wainwright's recommended route starts at Seathwaite Farm near Seatoller Village, right in the heart of the Lake District. It's a 7-hour round trip for most walkers, but much longer when there's a film crew tagging along. What you could find disconcerting about this walk is that you can't see the destination. The goal isn't in sight. It's such a mountainous area. All I know is the summit is 5 miles in that direction. Luckily, I'm meeting a man who's studied these peaks very closely. Whereas Wainwright famously roamed the fells with his pipe, there's another legend of this area who tackles things at a much faster pace. Jos Naylor is the most famous of all fell runners, a local sheep farmer by trade, but this is a man who ran to 70 peaks on his 70th birthday. And he once conquered all 214 Wainwright fells in just 7 days. So Jos, arguably as a fell runner, you know these parts better than Wainwright.
Well, probably. I think I've put maybe more miles in Wainwright than I've ever done.
Now, an extraordinary record of yours is that you've covered 214 fells, all 214 fells, in 7 days.
Oh, the Wainwrights. Oh, I think it was a tribute to Wainwright, really, because I'd read most of his little guidebooks, and I thought they were well put together, very well documented, and I thought it'd be a nice thing to do, and just to remember him in that way. And the last 2 days I was running on empty. My mouth was very, very sore in my throat. I got an infection and I couldn't eat. So
you're running for the last 2 days with no food?
No food. I just was getting a bit of glucose and sort of stuff like that down it. So, you know, it was...
And sleep? Anything like that?
I didn't sleep much. I think the last night we didn't lay down at all.
Now, you ran 70 fells on your 70th birthday. Are you going to do 80 on your 80th?
Well, rather promised my wife it would be the last one, like, you know, she was getting a bit concerned, like, so I said that she could take me long-distance licence off me.
Let's talk a little about Scafell Pike. What's the fastest time you've done Scafell Pike in?
47 minutes, but it was a gift, really, because I touched the summit and set off to bomb back down, and just to come over the Pike's Crags, the helicopter come and it filmed us down.
Yeah.
And it was absolute magic. You could sprint as fast as you could, and the downdraft of the helicopter pulled you along, and it seemed as though it held you safely.
You were like a little angel of the fell being carried across.
It was, you couldn't describe it. It was just like floating, coming down, like, you know, our legs were hardly touching the ground.
I have to say, I'm not very sure that I'm going to make it in 47 minutes, or an hour, in fact, up to the top. What are your tips for me? What should I be looking out for?
Oh, it's picking the right weather. On a clear day, you see all the views. You can look back into Keswick. You can see most of the Lake District off the summit of the Pike.
So it's definitely worth getting to the summit?
You'll make it all right. You've just got to keep going.
I think I might take Wainwright's advice and watch my feet and see where I'm going.
Concentrate on the ground beneath your feet, I think.
I will do, all right.
Wainwright's advice.
Jos, it was a pleasure to meet you.
And enjoy your walk up the Pike.
I will. I'm going to walk, not run.
That's it. Just enjoy it. Bye now.
So this is it, the biggest climb in England. But before I start, let's take a closer look at the longest Wainwright walk I've tackled yet. Sitting right at the southern end of the Borrowdale Valley, Seathwaite Farm is not only the beginning of my ascent, but also the focal point for one of the most popular walking areas in the lakes. I'll be starting off very gradually, as the path follows the River Derwent southwards, up to Stockley Bridge. Things get steadily steeper as the valley narrows and I head up Grange Gill to a height of 2,000 feet, looking out for the Great Ravine at the top. Above the ravine there's a brief detour past the sheer face of Great End to find Sprinkling Tarn dramatically set beneath. Heading back on the route, there's a long and steady climb up to the plateau at Esk Hawes for a lunch spot with views to remember. Turning westwards, I'll pass round the back of Great End and finally get onto the rocky Scafell Ridge. This dramatic stretch takes me past the lower peaks of Ill Crag and Broad Crag, before the last testing climb to the Pike itself. But back at Seathwaite Farm, it's a long time before I get a clear view of the summit. The peak is only 3 miles from here as the crow flies, but with so many twists, turns and other peaks to negotiate, I'll have to go a lot further than that before I'm getting close. Wainwright sums up the challenge in Book 4 of his pictorial guides.
The ascent of Scafell Pike is the toughest proposition the collector of summits is called upon to attempt. And it is the one above all others that as a patriot he cannot omit.
Inspiring stuff from Wainwright, hey. And look, this is the first walk that I've seen that actually covers 2 pages, slightly ominous. We started at Seathwaite, we're going to go all the way to the top, back a Great End and bloop, back to the bottom of the page again. It's a biggie. But I'm a lot better kitted out than Wainwright would have been. When A.W., as he was known, was writing his guides, there was more tweed than Gore-Tex. And when he came on holiday for a whole week of walking in the 1930s, he recalls bringing his sturdiest shoes, a Mac, and just one set of clothing. Stockley Bridge is my first major landmark. Originally, it was an important packhorse crossing between Borrowdale and the Wasdale Valley in the west. In the mid-60s, the bridge was almost destroyed by storms, but now it's fully restored and probably carrying more traffic than ever before. It's also my cue that things are about to get steeper.
Made that mistake earlier of stepping in a stream and getting one foot wet by accident, which is never a good idea at the beginning of the walk. So any little bit of heat to dry it out, most welcome.
Wainwright loved to walk on his own, but his lonely career mapping the routes and ridges mean the fells today are more popular than ever. And various conservation schemes are underway, including these great bags full of boulders, ready to reinforce the path.
Oh, I can see a chink of blue sky up there. This is more like rock climbing than walking. Oh. Well, the good news is we're coming to the end of Grange Gill because there's the ravine. The bad news is that's not where I'm heading. That is just Great End, which we're going around. So that is not the highest point. Now, I love the sounds of bubbling brooks and gentle streams. It reminds me of when I used to go tickling trout with my dad in Derbyshire. Just that gentle noise.
By now, I've covered almost half the walk in terms of distance, but as for height, it's a different story. There's still over 1,500 feet left to go.
Oof, the central heating system's really working now. And look at Burradale Valley. That is just beautiful. You can just make out Castle Crag, Durham Water behind. Just gorgeous. At the top of Grange Gill, Wainwright recommends a detour. Now, I'm a city girl. That's my goal. That's my destination. I don't usually like detours, so I hope it's worth it.
Sprinkling Tarn is one of this walk's best-kept secrets. Lying just a few hundred yards off the main route and over a slight mound, it's visited by just a few of the thousand that trek up to Scafell Pike.
Oh, but that's worth it, huh? That is definitely worth a detour. Sprinkling Tarn. That's very, very gorgeous. And listen. Listen. Nothing. It's lovely. The silence here is magical. The odd sheep, little trickle of water, ravens flapping above you. That's it. I could stay here for hours and just listen to nothing, just the little sounds. What's interesting here is that you don't feel very high up. It's a deceptive plateau, but we're nearly 2,000 feet up. You can see the mountain range over the tip of the Tarn. Hello! Hello! It's very strange to be the noisiest thing around. home, I step out of my front door and there are buses and motorbikes and people and my walking and the rustling of my jacket is the noisiest thing here at the moment. The sun's really trying to get through now.
This is a tiny world, lost to all those that aren't prepared for a serious walk. And once you're here, the temptation is to linger.
Too many walkers bound for Scafell Pike have given up the ghost here, daunted by the sight of Great End and bewitched by the beauty and solitude of the Tarn. Onwards must be the cry. Much remains to be done.
That was a really worthwhile distraction, but the summit beckons. This is the second ravine, Ruddy Gill, so named, according to Wainwright, because of the red subsoil. We must be having a day off today because it's not looking that red. But the good news about all of this is that we're nearly at Escores, which means we're at the top of the first page of the walk, halfway there, according to the book. Aha! So here is the answer to the black bag mystery. Hello, gentlemen.
Hiya.
Afternoon. I've been seeing these all along the footpath. Now I know what's going on. So you've got to do a good sort of 2-hour walk before you even start with this lot.
Yeah, that's it. We usually walk up first thing in the morning, get up, have a cup of tea, and then get going after that and work till lunch and all that.
Well, you must be very fit, healthy boys. That's all I can say, because those are big rocks. Now these you don't bring up yourself.
No, we fly these in by helicopter. We try to use as much as we can that are lying around, but the quantities we need means that it's best to get them from a big source. And these rocks came from about a mile over there. We can't touch the rocks on this side because they're protected, so we have to get them from as near as possible.
Now I've walked over an awful lot of these paths. What's the technique for them?
Yeah, it's basically just find where the old ways are eroded away, and then you basically dig all the stone into the ground in a random fashion, and then you join them all together. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle, really.
Now, what would Wainwright have made, do you reckon, of these crazy paving stones in the sky?
I would imagine he would have been pretty scathing about them. He was very hostile to human imprints in the hills. I would imagine he would have been throwing his pipe down in disgust if he saw a path like this. I think so, definitely, yeah.
But it's a necessary evil now, isn't it?
Well, that's it. He popularised a lot of the routes here that 50 years or so ago, when he sort of walked up there, the main route went straight ahead to the head of the valley and then turned right. And of course he identified the sort of shortcut to the right, and at the time it was sort of barely discernible. Yet now, 50 years later, it's a big wide track, so we had to have some substantial repair on it to try and take away the big scar that used to be visible up there.
Right. So the shortcut's the main route now?
That is, certainly is, yeah.
Cuts about 20 minutes off the journey up to Scafell Pike. Wouldn't be surprised if 100,000 people had come up this path, the path there, all up towards Scafell Pike over a year.
Well, lads, you've got a lot of work to do, so I won't help you up any further. Yeah. All right, lads, thanks a lot. Cheers, thank you. Mind your backs. Right.
Wainwright's shortcut, confirmed with its brand new footpath, marks a point where my walk changes in character. The long view down the massive valley to Seathwaite Farm is gone. The gentle pastures are out of sight. And after 5 hours, I'm up amongst the wild high fells. The new path takes you straight to Escores, which at 2,500 feet makes it the highest pass in the Lake District.
Well, there's definite T-junction here where you've got to make up your mind which way to go. And well, I know this is Escores and I know this is Great End, so I'm going to make my way that way. It's amazing how the terrain changes up here. You're exposed all of a sudden. It's become you know, much more open. I think it's time for a bit of lunch, check the plasters, check the book.
Escaut has been an important pass for centuries and was used to transport wool from farms in Borrowdale to the Cistercian monastery at Furness Abbey, way to the south. With views down into three valleys, this is a commanding, if utterly exposed, spot.
Now, I assumed that that was the top of Scafell Pike, but sadly, taking a little look, this is Escaut here, and much further up the path, he says summit now in view for the first time. So that can't be, that must be Ill Crag. So there's much further to go.
Many wishful thinkers, as Wainwright describes them, have mistaken Ill Crag for the peak. But no, there's still 1.5 miles of the most difficult lakeland terrain to negotiate.
I love the way Wainwright describes Ill Crag. He says it's a desolate scene, a frozen avalanche of crags and stones, much of it unexplored and uncharted, a safe refuge for escaped convicts, or an ideal depository for murdered corpses. That's nice, isn't it? Hiya. Watch out for the bodies.
Leaving Escaut, I cross the grass to Calf Cove, the point where I climb up and onto the ridge that takes me right to the summit.
This is where the legs start to burn.
The Scafell Ridge is the most consistently high ground in England. For over a mile, the path that runs from Great End, past Ill Crag, Broad Crag, and ending in the Pike, never drops below 2,800 feet. This desolate volcanic rock is inhospitable, yet captivating.
I thought the winds were pretty cutting down there. This is the top of Scafell Ridge, and these are proper grown-up wings. I mean, look at my trousers. They look like they've got ferrets running up and down them.
I may be on the final ridge, but the crew and I have been going for 7.5 hours now. We've got to keep pushing on if I'm going to reach the summit in daylight.
And there it is, the summit. Let's check it out. Yeah, that's gotta be it. It's pretty like the picture, actually. Take a look. And turn it around. Yeah, that's it. I think some people have got there before me. I know that's hard to believe, but come on then, keep going. This is almost like being on another planet. It's like the moon or something. It's just a boulder graveyard. These sharp, jagged rocks everywhere. It's very difficult to walk, and even the sheep have disappeared.
Amongst this landscape, the path completely disappears at times. The only clues are the small cairns that other walkers have left behind. But Wainwright talks about the magic of camping out alone in a hollow just below here. He loved to watch the sunrise cast its pink glow over the dark crags and boulders. But for me, I've just discovered that there's still one last hurdle to get over.
This is really depressing. It looks very much like I've got to go all the way down this boulder highway, which is all it looks like to me, to get to the bottom, to get all the way up to the top. Just when you think you've sort of cracked a bit of it. What's slightly worrying is that there's nobody else up there. Nobody. Not a sausage. Just a couple of birds flapping around.
It's when faced with this peak at close quarters that Wainwright poses an interesting question in his chapter on Scafell Pike.
Why does a man climb mountains? Why has he forced his tired and sweating body up here when he might instead have been sitting at ease in a deck chair at the seaside? It It is a question every man must answer for himself.
And now it's just the small matter of the final ascent to the top of Scafell Pike. And I think I can safely say that's the steepest thing I've climbed all day.
Climbing and filming make for some seriously slow progress. It's now late in the day, and all sensible walkers have conquered and long since left the summit.
I suppose it's only fair that you have to work this hard to get to a peak this high.
I've been on the go for almost 10 hours now, but now I know why Wainwright rated this fell walk as the very best. In one long day, I've seen everything the Lake District has to offer. From wide valleys to steep ravines, silent tarns to windswept rocky ridges. Wainwright's biggest climb has it all.
I think I can see it. Less than 100 yards away. Yes, that's it. There it is. The cairn. At top of the summit. Nearly there, spitting distance away now. Hey. Phew. The wind has really picked up here. Another little challenge to overcome to make it. Woohoo! Made it! Look at that! It's a pretty fantastic feeling, I've got to say. You're not at the top till you're at the very, very top. Here it is. It's ridiculously windy up here. So this is the tallest mountain in England. That's Wastwater, which is the deepest lake. You can see hundreds of fells all around you. And now over there, just glistening in the sunshine, is the Isle of Man. And apparently, on a really clear day, which is not today, you can see Blackpool Tower over there. But right now, just to be here is fantastic, spectacular, and ridiculously windy. Woo!
There are places I've been to recently where you'd be happy to spend hours. You choose to come again and again. But this spot has a very different quality. It's about being able to sit and look out across miles of cliffs and peaks, knowing you're above them all. There's nothing like the feeling that you've conquered everything that could be put in front of you.
Wainwright says that fell walkers are not attracted to this summit for its beauty, because it's not beautiful. It is sturdy and rugged and strong. It is simply the fact that this is the tallest mountain in England. And when you get to the top, you can say, I did it. And I did.